Hey guys, and welcome back to Fringe Friday. I am Carmen, and today I am sure needs no introduction, but I will intro it anyway. We are watching season 2, episode 16 of Fringe, and I'm scared. I'm very nervous because, as I'm sure all of you know, last week Olivia found out the truth about Peter and that he is Mr. Glowy, he's not of this world, and I'm really scared of the where the chips are going to fall and the repercussions of this, as I have been since season 1, when we all realized, what was going on. And maybe I'm freaking myself out for nothing based off of your comments. I don't think I am, but maybe Olivia's not going to tell Peter, and I just don't see how she would not tell him. I just don't see it. I don't see that happening, and I'm very nervous. You guys, I'm so scared. I have procrastinated filming this episode so long because I have just been such a nervous Nelly this week. It's literally it's after 4 on Friday. So when you guys are watching this, I literally just filmed it and edited it and got it out to you guys. I I was scared. I was really scared, and I just kept pushing it back because I'm scared. But it's nice to have you guys with me in a way. So I can't really push it off any longer because I do need to edit it and get it out to you guys. So let's do this. Let's watch season 2, episode 16 of Fringe and see what the hell happens. I'm scared. Okay, I'm not gonna cry. 1985. You guys, is this gonna be a flashback to when Walter went and got Peter? Because he died in 1985.
No limitations, no boundaries. There is no reason for them. I would like you to take a look at this. The mobile telephone.
Does this work?
Not here, not yet. It is technology from another universe. An alternate universe, just like ours.
Oh, God.
We developed a window of sorts, a way of looking into this neighboring world.
Okay.
You are looking through a window.
Into another world.
Into another world.
Yeah. Okay, are we gonna actually see him, get Peter, though? Is this before Peter died? Is this a whole flashback episode? You guys! What? Even, the intro is... This is a flashback, isn't it? This is awesome! Oh, fuck. Oh, wait. No, now we're back. This is gonna give me emotional whiplash, isn't it?
Walter, what are you doing here?
You left me no choice. You wouldn't answer your telephone.
I need time, okay?
Yeah.
I don't even know
What to say?
how to begin to work this out.
Is he gonna show her? Tell her?
I need to explain.
This is gonna be a flashback episode, right? And he's gonna explain to her what happened. Okay.
Have you told Agent Burroughs?
No,
Okay.
but to be honest, that doesn't mean that I won't.
That's true.
I always knew that one day I'd have to pay the price for my deception.
Well, we're not really sure what the cost is yet, are we?
I was going to change the world. After Peter became sick, none of that seemed to matter anymore.
Yeah.
The illness was genetic.
saw Peter.
If the alternate Peter was also sick over there, then wouldn't his father be equally motivated to find a cure?
You would think.
He was.
Okay.
God help me. He was.
Okay. Oh no. Like, you guys have already... No, it's okay. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
I've given him a name, Carla. Alternate.
Alternate. We're gonna get to meet Peter's mom?
Older Bishop.
Walter,
Elizabeth.
I think it's time you came home.
Okay.
Did he die before he had a chance to find a cure?
He keeps saying he wants to talk to you. He says he's worried he won't be able to.
It's okay. I was gonna say, I know he's gonna be okay, but he's actually not.
I won't give up, Elizabeth. I can do this. I need you not to doubt me.
But he doesn't do it, right?
Almost got it.
Oh, let me show you. Now, watch one finger at a time. Let me show you.
I want you to have it. Lucky silver dollar. If I die. It's okay. I'm not scared.
Child Peter, don't do this to me.
Nothing's going to happen to you.
Walter, don't say that.
Promise.
Don't promise.
Now get some rest.
You can't make those promises.
Wake me for dinner. Don't want to miss it.
You're not going to miss anything.
What if he dies tonight? Oh God. Oh. Wait, what? Just then? Just now? He didn't have enough time. Like, I knew that was gonna happen, but I wonder if she blames him. It's so tiny. I knew this was gonna happen. Like, I literally knew that that's what happened, but just to see it was, that was not fun. I do have a Kleenex. Why was William Bell not there? That's kind of messed up if that's your friend. Don't you think?
You know how much William wanted to be here. What with the meetings in Berlin, and I don't need to tell you how important they are. He wanted me to make sure that you know how terrible he feels.
Yes.
That's not good enough. That's not good enough, honestly. Honestly, I don't think that's good enough if that's your best friend. You can miss a meeting. You can miss a meeting.
He didn't go to a proper school. He didn't have any proper friends. He had no family but us. We kept him so well. We never let anyone else get to know him.
We did the best we could. We dealt with what we were given.
I agree.
He knew he was loved.
I think he did. based off your scene he did. Okay. I'm really trying not to, like, hysterically cry.
What's wrong?
He's gonna go. Right?
Come with me.
Oh, did he already do it? Walter, did you already do it?
What is this?
Oh. Oh, he's gonna... Oh, this is... That's not gonna help. That's not gonna help.
How's this possible?
That's not gonna help her grieve.
It's a window to another universe. Like ours, different.
Please. Please turn it back on again.
I'm telling you this because I want you to know that somewhere Peter will grow up, somewhere he will lead a proper life, somewhere he will be happy, but just not here. He must begin to move on.
Did he do it for her? Because she couldn't? He's just watching him drinking. And he's gonna find the cure. The Observer?
Yes! You did it! By God, you did it!
Why was the Observer helping? He doesn't know. Maybe he wasn't helping.
No. You had it, the cure. All you have to do is stabilize the compound, and then you can save him.
He wanted to save the other Peter.
Save him.
You have to save him. Was the Observer supposed to let Peter die in that world too? I'm confused.
I have made a mistake.
What were you doing in the lab?
It was an important moment. He discovered me.
You have changed the future. The boy is significant.
Okay.
You will have an opportunity to fix this.
Huh? So he wasn't supposed to be seen. Right?
Walton found a cure. He found a cure for Peter. And it works, Carl. It's not too late. I can save him.
Walter, Peter is dead.
Not this Peter, the other Peter.
Of course I know that. I'm not talking about my Peter. I'm talking about the other Peter.
Walter, I'm sorry, but you can't.
Yes, I think I can.
No, Walter. I mean, you can't. Shattering the wall between universes would rupture the fundamental constants of nature.
It's a theory. We don't know that to be true.
It's a good theory. It is why we have been lying to the military, telling them it's impossible. There has to be a line we can't cross.
But for his son, there's no line he won't cross, hun.
We both know the amount of energy required to create a portal will forever ruin both universes. For the sake of one life, you will destroy the world. Some things are not ours to tamper with. Some things are God's.
There's only room for one God in this lab, and it's not yours.
Damn, I figured he was going to say something like that.
Look, even if he was serious, the design itself is decades beyond anything we could imagine.
No, you don't understand. He already has the design.
You gonna call William?
Yes. Dr. Bell's room, please.
What if William tries to stop him and then he got stuck over there? No, that doesn't make sense because he does create the company and everything, right? I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Now, if William were here...
William were here. He'd be applauding.
That's not true.
No? Why isn't he here?
The funding, his schedule...
Oh, he's in Europe chasing funding. They're too busy to come and stop me from destroying the universe. Do you know how many times that William has encouraged me to take this very risk?
What if he's already there?
No, I don't believe that.
No, you wouldn't.
I do.
All William Bell ever cared about was finding a way to increase the power and the wealth and the legend of William Bell.
Ooh, interesting.
You know how much Peter meant to me, and how difficult it will be for me to admit that he's gone.
Why did he mean so much to her? Is Nina Sharp Peter's mom?
I won't let him die again.
No, that doesn't make sense. Right? Why would he mean so much to her, though?
No, Walter, I won't let you do it!
Maybe this is how she loses her arm. No, they said it's cancer, right? Sorry, I don't believe the show anymore.
Help me!
It is how she lost her arm. The whole lie about William saving her from cancer was a lie. Oh no. It's okay, you can recreate it. You can recreate it.
Oh, no.
You can recreate it. You guys, this episode is like, what the fuck? His mom taught him in this world. Interesting.
I want you to have it.
No, this is the same scene.
I want you to have it. If I die.
No, this is the same scene.
It's okay. I'm not scared.
No, but he's supposed to save this one.
Nothing is going to happen to you. I promise.
No, don't say these things. Don't say these things.
Get some rest now, okay?
Okay.
I'm stressed. No. Are you still alive? Are you still alive? Are you still alive? Are you still alive? Are you still alive?
Dad,
Hello, son.
are you alright?
Yes. Yes.
Walter? What are you doing here? I thought you were working late at Cambridge. Walter, what are you wearing? Where'd you get that coat?
I think I found a cure.
Are you certain?
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe so. I need to take him back to Cambridge, to the lab. I need to leave now.
Yes, yeah, of course. You take this for luck. I love you very much.
Oh no, is that the last time she's gonna see her son?
I'm going to be waiting for you right here. Bring him back to me.
I promise.
I don't think he keeps that promise.
Aren't we taking the car?
We can't get where we're going in a car.
He is gonna take him to the other world.
You're not my father, are you?
How the hell do you know that?
Of course I am. And I'm going to make you all better. Hold on tight, son.
Maybe this is the lake.
did it.
This is where the Observer saves them, right? They were in the lake on the way to Thanksgiving dinner, right? That's the story. The Observer. Yeah, yeah. Holy shit, you guys. Walter is the most unreliable narrator. Yep. Here we go.
Who are you?
Okay, don't do your...
In the lab. On the other side.
Can you just explain things for once?
He won't live much longer. You must fix him. Your lab is 6 miles from here. Can you drive?
Yeah. Where's he gonna go?
Why did you save us?
Because Peter's important.
The boy is important. He has to live.
Okay. So it's not about Walter, it's about Peter.
Seems to be working.
You're going to return him?
Yes. Once he's stabilized.
That's a lie.
Walter. Love, you didn't come home last night. I was worried about you. I thought...
Oh, God.
He was dying, Elizabeth. This is the boy I showed you. The other Peter. It was the only way I could save him.
Oh, God. Oh, my baby.
But he,
Oh, my baby.
but he's not yours.
He's not ours. I have to take him back.
She wouldn't let him.
But I realized at that moment that despite what I'd promised, what I fully intended to do, that I could never take Peter back. I saw in her what I feared most in myself when I saw him.
Creed?
I couldn't lose him again. It was the first hole, Olivia. First breach. First crack in a pattern of crack spaces between the worlds.
The pattern. He started it.
And it's my fault. You can't imagine what it's like to lose a child.
I wonder if she won't tell Peter. Oh my God. Holy shit. Like, oh, holy shit, you guys. Oh, what a fucking episode. Like, oh, there's so much I have to talk about. I was wrong about so many things throughout these seasons, but I need to take a second. I'll be back to talk. There's no way I'm going to be able to talk about this episode without crying. I hope you guys are ready for a tear-filled post-episode discussion, because that's what this is going to be. Shit. Okay. Where to start? Hold on, let me get a Kleenex. I did not expect this to be a flashback episode where Walter explains to Olivia, damn it, his reasoning for saving or taking Peter. I really thought that there was no way that Olivia would agree not to tell Peter, but after that she might. I don't know. I think it's inevitable that it's going to come out though, and I think sooner better than later is probably the way to do it, but I don't know. This episode was, I loved it. It destroyed me emotionally, but I still loved it. It was, you see all of it coming, right? Like, we know our Peter is, the Peter from this world is dead. We know that Walter went through that. We know that that's why he went and took the other Peter. But to see it on screen is, I don't know, it was just a lot of really good acting, I will say. It's interesting too, because the scenes where Peter is saying goodbye, little baby Peter. Sorry, you guys. Like I said, tear-filled. Sorry. But the scene where little baby Peter is saying goodbye to Walter and then his mother Elizabeth in the different worlds, it seems like the Peter from this world, the one who's now dead from World A, the original Peter, he was really close with Walter, and like Walter taught him the coin thing, and he wanted to talk to Walter, and that was like what he wanted most, right? And then Peter from World B, he was really close with his mom, and she taught him the coin thing, and you know, he was who she wanted to talk to. She was who he wanted to talk to at the end. And I just wonder if that's why Peter is so close to his mom, and why maybe his and Walter's relationship, I don't know, it's just lots of revelations in this episode. Like, I thought Walter just missed Peter too much before, right? And he felt like he failed him, and so he had to go and get him. And the truth is actually a lot different than that, you know? Like, Walter actually had a line, you know, as I think different as Walter might have been back then, it does appear, based off this episode, that he did have that line that Warren was talking about. You know, we have to have a line that we won't cross. And I think before Peter died that he did have that line, and it seems like, again, just based on this episode, that he might have curtailed William Bell's more, what's the word I'm looking for? Radical self. Like, he might have like reined William Bell in a little bit originally, because we also learned in this episode that Nina Sharp's arm, her whole spiel that she gave to Olivia in the beginning about like cancer, and like William Bell saved her life, and like he gave her a new arm, and all that stuff was a lie. Like, it was fully a lie. Like, she has been making excuses for him for decades. That's crazy. I think that we also got a sort of glimpse into the psyche of William Bell in this episode, and that glimpse was not super flattering. You know, he did not show up to Peter's funeral, which I don't care what meetings you have and how important you think they are. If that's your best friend and their child dies, you fucking show up to the funeral. You cancel. I don't give a shit who you are, who you think you are, how important you think that you are. You cancel your fucking plans and you fly home and you're with your friend. Like, is that not... Yeah. Like I said, I think that we saw a little bit more into William Bell, and it wasn't a flattering look into who he is. And as much as I love Leonard Nimoy, I'm not loving the character that he plays on this show. Like, I love to see him, and I love to hear his voice, and I love to watch him play the character when we do get to see that. But I think that his character is a bit, not a great person. And I'm not saying that Walter is an incredible person either, but I mean, nobody's all good or all bad, right? Like, ebbs and flows of gray area and human nature and all that stuff. And I don't know. Sorry, you guys. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm saying anything that is worth saying, but there was so many revelations in this episode. Like, Nina Sharp's arm, and then how the observer came into it was that he accidentally made Walter miss that he got the formula right, and so Peter would have died, and that Peter, at least, is our Peter, is apparently super important, and he has to live. And so not sure how, but that's going to come into play. And so that, like, the whole story of going to Thanksgiving dinner and then the lake and all that stuff was just a lie. And little Peter believed it because what else could he believe? You know what I mean? Like, someone pointed out, because I said it was weird that, Peter wouldn't remember going from one world to another, because presumably, and now we know for sure, they are slightly different. But when you're a child, you block out, adults do it too. You can block out traumatic events that happen to you, right? And so, assumedly, that's what he did, and everything was almost the same enough that I think that he could convince himself to believe it was the same. But it's just, I don't even remember what I was talking about, but it's just crazy. Oh yeah, Peter's important. Peter's important. So we know now that Peter is important. Olivia's important. My little ship is important. I really like that Walter went to Olivia's house and laid everything out on the table and, like, said, this is what happened. Like, you can do what you want with this information, but here's the whole thing. Here's the whole truth of it. I lost my son. I was just gonna save him, like the other him, and I was gonna return him, and I was gonna, like, leave things be. But seeing his wife, she couldn't lose him again. And I can understand that. It's like I said, this whole time I thought, oh, he just brought back another kid that's like her kid but not, and she was expected to parent him and raise him, and like how hard that must have been for her. But I was wrong, because she knew the whole time. Like, she kind of made that choice. She's like, you're not taking him away from me again. And she, she made that choice. Not to say that I don't think that it would have still been hard for her at times, because it's her son. And in the moment when you're grieving, when you've lost this person, any iteration of that person is going to be that person for you. But I don't know. It's just, I think that eventually it would have been hard for her, at least in some way, to know that that's not her Peter. But I think that like any iteration of the person that you lost is better, I guess, at least for her in that moment, than not having Peter ever again. I'm curious as to why other Walter, because they're the same intelligence level as each other. He was also a scientist. He was also super smart and everything. Why did other Walter never try to come and take Peter back? Because, sorry, I don't know what's on me. But assumedly, I think it's just tears. Assumedly, sorry, he would have realized, because his wife would have been like, you came and took him. You said you had a cure. You promised you'd bring him back. And he's going to come home and his son is gone, Assumedly, he figured out, what happened. So why did he never show up to take Peter back? Also, don't even want to think about Peter's poor mom in World B. Here I go. But she was losing her son, and her husband's trying to find a cure, and she's just so hopeful that he will. And then he comes home one day, and he's like, I found a way to save him, but you have to wait here, and I promise I'll bring him back. She hugs him goodbye. And she never gets to see her son again. God, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. It gets me, this poor woman. It's almost worse that he said, I know why he did it, but it's almost worse, right? Because she got hope, and then it was taken from her, along with her son. Also, when Peter had that dream, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but when Peter had that dream about, he woke up in the bed and he was like, Dad, and then Walter snatched him, and then he woke up in real life. Is that Peter's subconscious memory of what happened? Because as we saw in this episode, that's not exactly how it happened. He talked to him, he got dressed, he walked out the door. So, he essentially was snatched from his bed, but it's just interesting that that dream isn't, of course, memory is not exact at all, right? Memory is definitely skewed, and it is messed up, especially memory from when you're a kid. Memory is notoriously misleading and not accurate always to what happened. But I just think it's interesting. I wonder if that's his subconscious memory of what happened is just being taken, because essentially he was just taken. I assume that the Warren lady that we saw was the one that died in the fire, because I believe that Gran from Dawson's Creek in the first season, her name was Warren, right? And so I thought we were going to see that somehow Walter doing this was going to cause the fire that killed her, but apparently it was at a different time. So honestly, I thought for a second, and I won't lie, that she was going to try to stop Walter and he was just going to kill her. And then the fire was going to be a staged thing, But that was a few years after right? Like, he had a few years with this Peter before he went to St. Clair's, so my timeline was, like, not adding up there. I'm just saying, that's what I thought. I loved the little intro flashback, like, retro intro. Like, it was so cool and fun, and I loved that moment. We now know what the Observer meant in the episode August, where he was talking to the guy August, who we saw in this episode again, where August mentioned that he had messed up and that he had fixed it or whatever. So his mess up was distracting Walternate, so he didn't see that he had found the cure. Thus, it would have killed Peter, who's important and cannot die. And so his fixing of it was to allow our Walter to come and take Peter back and then fix him and keep him, I guess, ultimately. Although I don't know if that was what's supposed to happen, but as long as Peter is alive, apparently that's the important bit to the Observers. And so kidnapping's okay. I mean, I don't know. Or something that I thought was really cool in this episode was the scene at Raiden Lake, whatever. The lake where Nina and Warren and Walter were all there, and Walter was trying to go to the other side, and we found out the truth about Nina and her arm, and we found out the truth about William Bell. But what I think was the most interesting in that scene, well, two things, but I thought it was really cool to see the intersection of where a grieving father meets a brilliant scientist, and just the danger of that, because Walter, like I said, I think that he did have the line, right? Him and Warren Warren alluded to the fact that they had been lying to the military and saying that there wasn't a way to get to the other side because they knew, or at least theorized, the danger of it. And they thought that was the danger of it, CFT, all that stuff, was real and present. And obviously the CFT and stuff came after, because Walter created the first hole in the pattern, and then presumably after that, they started the Cortexiphan trials, and they were trying to figure out a way to protect themselves from the wave of destruction, essentially, that Walter's grief created. But I think that's such an interesting idea and such a cool human way to go about it. And while Walter was sort of ridiculing Warren for her faith, when he said, there's only room for one God in this lab, and kind of talking down to her a bit for it. It's such a human thing for her to have faith, right? And it's more human than scientist. And his grief, his love of his son, makes him more human than scientists, right? And so it's interesting that he's sort of ridiculing her for this thing, and then also displaying the same thing, just in a different way, if that makes any sense. Do you guys see the similarities? But my point ultimately was, I love that as brilliant and intelligent as you can be, as a person can be, the undoing of that is something so beautifully, perfectly human, as just he loved his son, right? And he was willing to sacrifice the world in that moment if it meant saving Peter. And I think that makes him a much more interesting and fascinating character, honestly. Like, I know it's not the choice that, like, the hero should make in that moment, right? You're supposed to be willing to sacrifice the people that you love to save the world. but I think that we can all relate to loving somebody enough that it would be worth it to sacrifice the world to save them. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that if we don't all know a love that deep and profound, then that's kind of the aspiration and the hope of humanity, is to love somebody that much. And I think there's beauty in that. And, you know, maybe at the destruction of the world, but to me, that makes Walter a character that I love even more than I did going into this episode, because like it doesn't, I don't know. I love to see people portrayed as beautifully, perfectly, incredibly flawed and human. Also, speaking of that scene, what the hell is Nina talking about when she says how important Peter is to her? How hard it was for her to lose him. Like, I know that it's crazy because Elizabeth is Peter's mom, and we know that. But am I reading too much into this? Don't tell me. I probably am. Is there any way that Nina Sharp could actually be Peter's mom? Is that crazy? Is that crazy? Am I crazy? Is that crazy? I don't know. I just feel like she might be. Anyway, moving on. I think that something that this episode displayed really beautifully and powerfully was the power and the all-encompassing nature of grief and the way that it affects every aspect of your life. And how even today, like we saw in the end of season 1, we saw in this episode when he's talking to Olivia, the death of Peter greatly affects Walter, and he's still in that stage of grief, kind of, in a lot of ways. And I think that it's a grief that he will never truly get over, even having this Peter who he loves, I think, very deeply. I think that losing the Peter that he did lose was incredibly devastating to Walter, and the repercussions of that have affected the entire planet. And the power of love and grief, as displayed in this episode, is, I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to take away from it, but what I'm taking away from it is that there's nothing more powerful than love and grief, right? Because as smart as Walter is, as intelligent, as calculated, as brilliant, as, you know, all of these things as Walter is, he was completely undone by the grief of losing his child. And he was willing to cross lines and do things that he, it seems, had promised to himself that he would never do. And I think that is both beautiful and terrifying, but more so beautiful. And maybe I'm supposed to be like a little bit more terrified of it, but it's probably like supposed to be a cautionary tale, right? Because Walter literally started a chain of events that could destroy the entire planet. But it's such a beautifully human story that I can't help but just love it. This was a great episode. It was a great episode, and I loved it, and I cried quite a bit. I have lots of tissues to show for it, but I loved it. I would watch it again and cry again. Any day of the week. I kind of feel bad that I postponed it so much, but I was really scared. Still don't know what the repercussions of this episode are going to be. Don't know what Olivia is going to choose. I still personally feel like Peter does deserve to know the truth and deserve to reconcile it within himself and with Walter. But we don't know how it's going to go. Well, I mean, if you've seen it, you know. But I don't know how it's going to go. Yeah, curious about Nina and her relationship with Peter and Walter. Curious about seeing more of William Bell. Is he the villain in this story? Because I kind of feel like he might be the villain. Regardless if he's the villain or not, he's a shitty person because he was not there for his best friend when his son died. Just saying. It was nice to finally see Peter's mom. I'm glad we actually got to finally meet her. Both of hers. I do think that the her in this world did kind of blame Walter for not saving Peter initially, but that is a very common grief experience. People look for somebody to blame, and it's also very hard for a relationship to survive the losing of a child. So anyway, it was cool to finally meet Peter's mom. We didn't really actually see any of Joshua Jackson Peter in this episode, so I'm assuming we're going to see him in the next episode, and then how he's going to interact with Olivia, and then how she's going to interact with him, and then what the hell's going to happen, and who's going to know what. That stress lingers after this episode. I'm still stressed. I still don't know if she's going to tell him, when she's going to tell him. What else did we learn? Peter is super important. I always thought that like Walter and Peter were important, or Walter was so important that they just let him kidnap other Peter. But it turns out Peter is important, which is very interesting because Peter and Olivia are important. So they should make a baby. And then that baby would be super important. Just saying. Yeah, there was just a lot in this episode. I really loved it. I don't know why I said that so weird. I really loved it, and I don't know if I articulated well enough the reasons that I loved it, but hopefully somewhat. Anyway, thank you guys as always for watching. If you want, you can like, comment, and subscribe if you aren't already. You can also watch the next episode right now over on Patreon if you are watching this on YouTube, as well as my entire full-length reaction to this episode and every episode thus far of Fringe. There's a lot of tears in these episodes, and this one in particular. So if you can't tell by my stuffy nose, get yourself ready for tears. And yeah, until next time, where who knows what's going to happen. Bye, guys.